Welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast, the podcast that gives you immediate actions you can take to start seeing life-shifting results now. Hey everybody, welcome to the Achieve Results Now podcast. This is Mark Cardone.
And Theron Feidt.
I'm so glad people are here to listen to this, because this is really this is one of those podcasts where we are talking about those, the specific, and we do this every podcast, 3 specific things, right? But these are specific things that if you're having trouble achieving your goals and the results that you want, these are 3 specific things that you can look at and reflect on and start taking action on right now.
I think a lot of people, they sort of know what they want, but they don't know how to get there. Or maybe they know how to get there, but they're not sure why they're not getting results. Or, there's a few things that they're missing. They're missing pieces of the puzzle. And what we're going to talk about is going to help you smooth out any parts. Now, maybe you need all 3 that we're going to talk about. Maybe you only need 1. But even missing one of these things that we're going to talk about will definitely affect whether you get your goal or not, or at least the length of time it's going to take to get your goal. One of the best things is to learn from others mistakes, learn from others successes, and whether that's through books or through podcasts like this, or you go to a seminar, or maybe you're around somebody. Maybe you're lucky enough to have a mentor that can help you in certain things, in certain parts of life. I mean, this is how humans have learned forever, right? Now, the podcast hasn't been around forever, and books haven't been around forever, but people have, right? Yeah. So people learn from people, and this is kind of what it is. So the mediums that we have now are so vast, and we've talked about this a lot on podcasts.
Yeah,
the information is out there, but people still are failing.
They are, and this is really common, where I talk to people and they say, I don't know what I want, but I know I'm just not where I want to be.
Right.
And that could be in different areas of their life. It could be in their relationship. It could be in their health. It could be, in their job, their finances, wherever. Mm-hmm. And I think this podcast is really specifically for those people who are either not where they want to be right now, or they've been in that position, right, and struggled through it.
Right.
These 3 things can really, I think this can help alleviate that struggle a little bit, because I think these are those, exactly what you said. This is, learning from years and years and years and years of mm-hmm. seeing people in that position and how they overcame it. These are the things. So I mean, I love that, what we're talking about here.
Yeah. So the first one, I think, is it probably always has been an issue,
mm-hmm.
but I think certainly now in these modern times, it's an even bigger issue. And I think we're going to see it even more as the kids grow up and get into business. And you even see it now with some of the younger ones getting into business and getting into real jobs, that they're having trouble with this one. And I think this is huge. And it really, we titled it Lack of Focus. And specifically, it's about distractions. It's about other things too, but let's talk about distractions specifically. I mean, think now of all the things you have going on. Think of just the amount of screens you have in the room you're in right now. Right now, I have 5 screens.
Yeah.
Now, they're not all on, but I have 5 screens. And imagine if all 5 of my screens were on in the room I'm in. That's distracting. That can pull you in definitely different directions. So that's why this one is a big one.
And from the beginning of time, distractions have been one of probably the biggest causes of people not reaching their goals.
Yeah.
That lack of the ability to sit and have that focused time. Now, I'm not against things that are distracting. I'm not against, social media. I'm not against video games. I'm not against TV.
Right.
I'm just against those things in excess if you feel like you're not achieving the things you want to achieve.
Right.
And if you're using them, as
mm-hmm.
almost like a procrastination tool,
yes,
to not take those actions that we know we should be taking. And yes, I'm looking, when you said that, I counted. I have 4 screens in this room, and not all mine, but all in here.
Yeah.
I have probably 15 windows open on my laptop. I have my Apple Watch
Oh,
on.
I
So
didn't even do that. I have six now. So
there you go. So the number of things that have the ability to distract me right now, huge.
yeah. And here's the thing that we have to realize, and I think many of us realize, but certainly a lot of young people don't realize is companies out there, I mean, companies don't have your best interest in mind. Their interest is making money, right? Now, sometimes the company's interest of making money also aligns with you and makes you better, and that's fine, right? Um, but ultimately, their goal is to make money. So they are going to bombard you with advertisements. And I mean, think of the level and the sophistication of advertisements now compared to when we were kids.
Yeah.
I remember growing up, um, my mother would sit me in front of a TV, probably not the best way to be, but I mean that's kind of what they did back then in my generation. Sat in front of the TV, I had a commercial here and there, but that's it. Now, what do the kids have? Every time they go on any app, there's a an advertisement. Anytime you Google something, what are the top search on there? It's advertisement, right? These are all distractions that can pull us in different directions. I mean, the news itself, you can't even believe half or more than half of the news on any of the stations, not just one or the other, because they're all only really entertainment with a little sprinkled of what they want you to know.
I'm
So
laughing. I'm laughing because
everything's a distraction.
I was distracted. This is great. I was distracted by social media yesterday. As I was being distracted by social media, an ad interrupted my distraction time and distracted me away from the social media because I wanted to go look up some things about the thing they were advertising.
Right.
And 20 minutes later, I was back at what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
And this is, so what do we do? What
Yeah.
do we do? I think a big part of this is we all have distractions that we enjoy.
Right.
I think, I love doing like the Wordle puzzles in the
Mm-hmm.
morning. I love doing those. I have a specific period of time when I do it, and I block that off as part of like my mental part of my day. I mean, look, if I have a meeting or something, don't worry. If I'm not
Sure.
scheduling meetings in the morning, everyone who's listening, it's not because I'm busy doing the Wordle. But I set aside time
Yeah.
because I like that distraction, right?
Right.
I feel like it's just
Mm-hmm.
something I connect with my friends on and things like that. So I think part of this is understanding you're going to be distracted.
Right.
I mean, yes, you can move your screens out of the room and you can do things, but life happens. You're going to be distracted. But if you can make time for those distractions that you know that you kind of want in your life,
Right.
you'll be able to schedule around them instead of having them just creep in and interrupt you whenever they feel like it.
Well, I think something worth repeating that you said early on in this subject is is the fact that if we're using distractions as procrastination tools, and I think you kind of use maybe even that phrase, a procrastination tool, that we have to be aware of. We have to raise our awareness is, am I on Wordle because I don't feel like doing something else? That's bad. Or I'm on, in your case, is it Wordle?
Yeah,
Did I
we have
say it right?
Wordle.
Because I want to connect with people and I already planned it in my day, the 10-15 minutes that I'm on. So same action, but totally different results from it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that's what we have to be aware of. I think also setting yourself up for the success of, don't look at Facebook if it's because Facebook, TikTok, all of those social media, they're designed to grab your eyeballs and to get your attention as long as they possibly can. So if you start on something, half an hour later, you're like, where did that time go? Well, they sucked you in. So knowing that that's probably going to happen, don't do it until you have time to do it. So
Right.
setting yourself up for success is one of the things you can really help to improve your focus.
It's funny. I know kids have this thing that they call like I heard this phrase. I don't know if it's real or not, but it's a phrase called bed rotting. It's when they just like sit in bed and waste time.
Oh my God. A lot of
And
them
I
do that.
think, and look, if that's part of your life, if you just like to sit and do nothing for 30 minutes, pick time during the day to do that. Like if you know what I mean, like I wouldn't do it. But if you love just wasting time scrolling Facebook, say, okay, I'm going to do that, for at this time in the morning, maybe while I'm having my morning coffee. right? I think there's better things you could do while you're having your morning
Yeah.
coffee, but if it gets if it gets it out of the way so that in the middle of a project you don't say, I'm going to take a break and mindlessly scroll Facebook because I haven't yet today. I think that's a bad decision. I think it's good to
Yeah.
block those times so that you're getting it out of the way and then you can really focus on the things that you want to achieve.
And I think it's important. We've done podcasts on bookend your days.
Mm-hmm.
So how you, and I'm going to talk about how you start your day. Now, I don't think everybody's like me. I'm a morning person, which anybody listening for a while, that's the case. So I love getting up and getting productive. So I don't really have distractions in the morning because I don't allow it. The only thing I do is look on my phone to double check what I have on my schedule for the day to make sure that I'm where I need to be. But other than that, my morning's already planned out the day before. So I just double check in the morning. And then the only screen time is if I'm writing. But I'm not going to get on Facebook in the morning, or I'm not going to, look at different things. I'm going to make sure that I'm focused because I'm most productive in the morning. Now, maybe you're a night person. So then you just shift everything to the evening and you make sure that if I'm doing anything that's unproductive, it's when I'm already tired, I'm relaxing. Maybe it's the afternoon where I take my siesta, or so for you it might be a little different. So that's fine, but it's really making sure, kind of like what I said a little earlier, is setting yourself up for success. And you said it, plan out your times that you're going to get unfocused.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yep.
Number two, so number one, that lack of focus and distractions, right? Number two, this one, we did a weekly wisdom at the dojo this week on this, and I think this was just huge. It's the lack of clarity.
Right.
And lack of clarity, I think, is one of, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, the biggest reasons why people don't achieve what they want, because
Mm-hmm.
you can't achieve what you can't see. If
Right.
I just have a general idea of what I want, I might or might not get there because I'm also going to have general feelings about achieving it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
want to have specific feelings about achieving specific things. And I am not a smart goals person, right? I'm not
Yeah.
I don't do I need to do this exact thing by this date, I
Yep.
think it's too, for me, that doesn't work.
Sure.
But I do have very specific things I want to achieve in my year, day, week, month, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that order. I don't know how that works. And I think that's important to know not only what it is that you're trying to achieve, but, and we've talked about this, why you want to achieve it. Having a real
Mm-hmm.
gut reaction to that why.
And so much of it is the words you say out loud, but also your internal dialogue. If you're wishy-washy with that, or this example is overused, but it does make sense, is I want to lose weight. Okay, that is so unclear that, okay, you lost a pound, good, you're done. I mean, that's what your subconscious is going to only know, is it's vague enough that 1 pound is enough for your subconscious. But if you get specific, I want to lose 25 pounds, and you get very specific, I'm going to do it by this date. Now that's a much clearer. But then, as you said before, what's my why? Why do I want that to happen? If I'm just doing it and I'm trying to gut it out, well, that works for some people. But let's face it, some people don't have as much discipline as others. And they go off and they eat something, or they don't work out, or they do things that they're not supposed to do. But if you have a big enough why that your doctor said, hey, if you don't lose 25 pounds, you might have a heart attack, and you want to be around for your kids, and you want to be around for your wife, and you want to be around there, that is a big why, hopefully,
Yeah.
that you want to be around for them. So this is what we need to do. This will help you get clarity in the objective or the goal or whatever you want.
I have a friend who's a doc, and he said the healthiest people are people within 6 weeks from a major incident, like a major medical incident, because during that 6 weeks, when they have had that
Yeah.
whatever happened,
Mm-hmm.
they get very focused and very serious about their health.
Right.
And you think about something like that, and you say, because the goal is, I don't want that to happen again. Don't
Right.
die,
Right.
right? Whatever that goal is.
Yeah.
And you may not be at a point where like your why is to that level yet,
Sure.
which I hope most people are not.
Right.
You do need to find, whatever puts you in that state
Right.
Where you're really going to be serious about achieving things. And if you can't, that maybe the goal's not your goal. Maybe you need to
Right.
rethink the what
Right.
and figure it out, because I see that a lot too, where people set a certain goal just because, no, I guess I should have some goals.
Right.
And that's not a great reason.
And I really believe, and because I believe this because I've felt it and I've experienced it myself, but also with the thousands of people that I've taken through the system and worked them on something. If you have a big enough why, the how that you're going to do it is going to fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people oftentimes get stuck on, the how. How am I going to get this done? And then they get negative on, well, it's just not going to work. It hasn't worked for me in the past. So it's probably not going to work for me in the future. And then they're stuck on that,
Yeah.
which is a whole other podcast that we can talk about. But getting back to, if your why is big enough, if the reason you're doing something is emotionally strong enough, then you're gonna fill in the how. It's just gonna happen for you, and also you're gonna be aware of opportunities.
Yeah.
So you're just like when you get a new car and your car is red, all of a sudden you see the same car in red. You're like, what the heck? Where did all these cars come from? Well, they've always been there, but now and you know what this is from Anthony Robbins, your reticular activating cortex. Was that
System.
right? System.
System.
Okay, I was close. That now it's aware of all those cars before, and that's how your subconscious works. So you put those great phrases and words in your head, and your why is big, then you're gonna see how the how just unfolds for you.
100%. And so I mean, lack of clarity being number two. I think as we start talking about the how, I think it's good to go right to number three,
Yeah.
which, I love this lack of consistent effort.
Right.
And that is so hard for people to wrap their head around,
Mm-hmm.
because achievers, believe it or not, feel like if I'm going to lose weight, I need to eat healthy every single meal.
Right.
If I'm going to put on muscle, I need to work out every single
Right.
day, sometimes twice. Success does not happen for most people on that strict of a basis.
Right.
Right. So what we do is we set this ridiculously high expectation for ourselves. We miss a day, and then we become, in our head, inconsistent. And then we feel like we have to start over, or we take a week off, or we let that
Mm-hmm.
one tire that went flat cut the
Right.
other three tires, right?
Right.
Go off the rails and start again. So I think this is important to define what is consistent effort and how do we achieve that consistent effort in a sane
Mm-hmm.
way.
Yeah. I think, I mean, all of them are important, and it would be difficult for me to rank them of what's the most important. I think it certainly depends on the person and the circumstance, but this is the one I see that probably people lie to themselves the most about.
Yeah.
And I think I see it in two ways. So one, they think they're working hard, but they're really not. And so their perspective of working hard isn't even close to what they need to do. So I think that's part of it. But the other part is, and you talked a little bit about this, is they aren't consistent for one day. They miss a workout, or they eat something bad. And let's say it's nutrition, because I think this is a real life example for a lot of people. Let's say you're on a nutrition plan and that you have it all planned out, and then you go off the wagon and you eat something bad for one meal. Should you scrap the whole day, or should you just pick back up on the next meal and get back on?
Right.
The answer is the second one. But what do often people do is, not only do they scrap the rest of the day, we're like, well, I already messed it up now, I might as well keep going. Then that turns into the next day, and the next day, then it's a week, then it's a month, and they look back and they're like, they're bigger than they were before. And it's a month ago, and they're like, oh man. So that I think is a very uh, scenario that's common.
It's the leftover pizza rule.
Okay.
It's that I screwed up the day. You know what? I'm going to order that pizza tonight, and then I got a couple slices left over, so it's now lunch and breakfast
Mm.
tomorrow, and it
Yeah.
bleeds throughout the week. And then by the time you get to Thursday, you go, Monday's good. Like, we're just going to
Right. Might
start
as well
again.
start Monday. Yep.
And I see that. everywhere. I see that in business. I see people, sit down to make their phone calls and they don't get to it, or, because they're busy procrastinating, go see step one,
Yeah.
focus,
Right.
right? And they go, that's okay, I'll just make more tomorrow. Or, and then, by Thursday as well, I'll just start fresh on Monday.
Right.
So consistent effort is really self-defined a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's based on your lifestyle, it's based on your schedule,
Sure.
and it's based on your results. Some people need more effort to achieve different goals than other people do.
Yeah.
Right. And I think if, this is something where if you're struggling, you're probably not being consistent enough.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just need to look at it and say, am I being too strict with what I require?
Hmm.
If it's not, and I love when we talk about this. If I skipped my 1 hour workout and I don't have time in my day to block another hour to do a workout, should I just do nothing, or should I do, a quick set of push-ups, a quick 15
Right.
minute,
Right.
something, so that maybe you weren't consistent with the action, but you were
Yeah.
consistent in pursuit of the
Right.
achievement of what you want.
Yeah. That
Does
that's
that make
such a great.
sense?
And that does, and that's such a great example. So, what's better than zero? The answer is anything. A minute, like one set of push-ups, is better than zero push-ups, even though you blocked off an hour. But most of us can fit in 10 or 15 minutes. We might not be able to fit in another hour that we missed, but certainly 10 or 15 minutes. We probably wasted that on something stupid anyway. So we can certainly put that in. So I think that's a great example, real life example that many adults probably have experienced.
I think so. I think it's really,
Yeah.
consistency in that pursuit of what you want. And don't
Right.
get hung up on this, like you said, the how comes, right? Like we figure out the
Yeah.
how. And
Yeah.
if we're clear, our brain is going to pick up different ways for us to achieve things. It's just
Right.
making sure that we're making that effort
Hmm.
consistently.
Yep. All right. I think we covered in detail the three things. So let's go through and review. So the first one is number one is your lack of focus. And so that is a lot about distractions, getting off track on what you're trying to do, whether it's your daily goals or your yearly goal that you're shooting for. Is it's easy to get off focus. And then we just went through all the different ways to help with that.
Absolutely. Number two, lack of clarity. Not being clear on especially the what you want, and the why you want it. Not having that deep motivating reason to achieve your goals. And we went through a couple ways to figure that out and get that set in
Mm-hmm.
stone.
Yep. And then the last one is a lack of consistent effort. So if you're off track, don't be off track and continue to be off track forever. And also make sure that you're not only working hard, but you're working hard consistently. But if you are off a little bit, get right back on track as soon as you can. Don't put it off to Monday. Do it the very next time you have a chance.
Do what you can when you can, and
Yes.
get it done. And that
Get it
wraps up
done.
this episode of the Achieve Results Now podcast. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will catch you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Hop over to our website at www.achieveresultsnow.com to get your free copy of our book, Ignite Results, 4 specific daily actions to help you achieve results now. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Achieve Results Now. Thanks for listening, commenting, and subscribing. Now get out there and achieve results now.